Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into something you've probably seen a million times, bamboo. But I promise you, by the end of this, you will never look at this plant the same way again. So let's kick things off with the most basic question of all. I mean, it's a pretty simple question, right? We see it in floors, furniture, even cutting boards. But how tough is it really? Well, the answer might just blow you away. That's right. In many parts of Asia, this is the material they trust to hold up workers and equipment on the sides of skyscrapers. Think about that. That is an incredible amount of trust to put in a plant. But here's where the story takes its first really weird turn. Get this. Bamboo isn't a tree. It's not wood at all. It's actually a type of giant grass. And it grows ridiculously fast. Some species can shoot up almost a meter in a single day. So, how in the world can a grass be strong enough to build with? To figure that out, we've got to look at the numbers. Okay, so let's move away from just looking at scaffolding and get into the hard science. We're going to put bamboo head-to-head with some traditional hardwoods that we all think of as being super strong. To do this right, you need a standard method, a way to test everything the exact same way. And luckily, material science has had one for over 100 years. It's called the Jenga hardness test. And really, it's a fancy way of measuring how much force it takes to dent or damage a material. The higher the Jenga score, the tougher the stuff is. Simple as that. And the test itself is brilliantly simple. They just take this little steel ball and measure exactly how many pounds of force it takes to press it halfway into the material. It's a pure, simple test of how well it resists getting dinged up. So, how did our friendly neighborhood grass do? Well, check this out. The results are pretty amazing. Teak, which is famous for being super durable, scores around 1,070. Red oak, a classic for flooring, comes in at 1,290. And then you've got bamboo, clocking in at 1,380. So it's officially harder than both of them. But believe it or not, that's just one type of strength. If you thought that was impressive, you might want to buckle up. We're about to look at a property that puts bamboo in a totally different league. We're not talking about hardness anymore. That's about resisting dents. Now we're talking about something called tensile strength. This is all about how much you can pull on something before it breaks. And for bamboo, this is where it gets absolutely wild. So, tensile strength is basically the measure of how much pulling force a material can handle before it just snaps. Think about the steel cables on a suspension bridge. That's where tensile strength is absolutely crucial. And here it is, 28,000. That's the pounds per square inch, or PSI, for bamboo's tensile strength. Now, that number is huge all on its own, but it becomes truly mind-blowing when you put it next to something else. This is the comparison that changes everything. Bamboo has a higher tensile strength than many common alloys of steel. Let that sink in for a second. A grass is better at resisting being pulled apart than many types of actual steel. So the big question is, how is that even possible? It sounds like it defies the laws of physics. But it's not magic. It's just really, really smart engineering by Mother Nature. The secret is all in its structure. See, bamboo is made of these long, continuous fibers that run all the way from the bottom to the top. They're packed together super tightly, creating this natural composite material that's both unbelievably strong when you pull on it, but also flexible. And since it's so much lighter than steel, its strength-to-weight ratio is just off the charts. But as amazing as all that is, its physical strength is only half of the story. Maybe the biggest advantage bamboo has for our future is simply how it grows. And here is the other killer stat. A stalk of bamboo is ready to be harvested in just 3 to 5 years. Think about that for a second. We're not talking decades or centuries like a tree. We're talking about just a handful of years. I mean, just look at this comparison. Those hardwoods from earlier, teak and oak, take at least 20 years to mature. Some woods, like ebony, can take a whole century. Bamboo is ready to go in a tiny fraction of that time. And you can probably guess what that means for the environment. It's huge. Using bamboo doesn't mean clear-cutting ancient forests. It's a resource that literally grows back at a speed we can actually keep up with, making it an incredible material for a more sustainable future. All right, let's wrap this all up. We've talked about hardness, we've talked about that incredible tensile strength, and we've talked about sustainability. So what's the big takeaway here? It means bamboo really is a super material. It's harder than oak, so it's amazing for things like floors and furniture. Its tensile strength rivals steel, making it a serious contender for construction. It's light, it's flexible, and on top of all that, it grows at an unbelievable speed, making it one of the greenest building materials we have. So the next time you see a bamboo plant or a piece of bamboo furniture, remember what's hiding in plain sight. You're not just looking at a plant, you're looking at a masterpiece of natural engineering.